strange footprints deep in the woods, red eyes glowing where no light should be, voices calling your name when no one is there. For centuries, these encounters have fueled whispers of creatures that lurk in the shadows of North America. Some are giants, some are tricksters, and some are omens of death. But all of them leave behind the same question: are they just stories or something far more real? Number 7. Bigfoot. If the snowy peaks of the Himalayas hide the Yeti, then the dark forests of North America hide the Bigfoot. Eyewitnesses describe a creature towering between 7 and 10 feet tall, weighing more than 500 pounds, with footprints so huge they stretch over 20 inches. Those tracks gave rise to the name we all know today, Bigfoot. Native American tribes have spoken of it for centuries. The Salish people called it Sasquatch, the hairy man of the woods. To some tribes, it was a guardian spirit that protected the land. To others, a predator that snatched away those who strayed too deep into the wilderness. A bulldozer operator in Northern California found massive tracks at a construction site, each one 16 inches long, 7 inches wide. But the real turning point arrived in 1967. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin filmed what looked like a giant hair-covered figure striding through Bluff Creek. The footage lasted less than a minute, yet it became one of the most debated pieces of film in history. Scientists, Hollywood costume designers, and forensic experts have all studied it. Some insist it's a hoax. Others argue the muscle movement, the stride, even the subtle turn of the head are too natural to fake. And the sightings didn't end there. From Washington to Oregon to Canada, reports continue to pour in. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization has recorded over 5,000 eyewitness accounts. Hunters who heard bone-chilling screams, campers who found tree trunks snapped 9 feet above the ground, and hikers who glimpsed dark shapes vanishing between the trees. But for all the sightings and stories, not a single bone, tooth, or strand of DNA has ever surfaced. To most scientists, that silence speaks louder than any footprint. At number 6 stands the Skinwalker, one of the most terrifying legends from the deserts of the American Southwest. More than just a creature, it's said to be a witch who has crossed into the darkest kind of magic. Wolves, coyotes, owls, the stories say they can wear the skin of these creatures and become them. Unlike shapeshifters in fantasy, skinwalkers are no heroes. They are feared witches, blamed for death, disease, and misfortune. Witnesses describe glowing eyes peering from the desert at night, weird human-like creatures on all four. This one Quora user mentioned how he saw a pale white entity on all fours. This other guy mentioned how he doesn't have a proof, but he has seen 2 or more skinwalkers. The legend became world famous because of one place, Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. Starting in the 1990s, the family who lived there reported terrifying events. A cattle found mutilated with surgical precision, UFO-like lights in the sky, and strange beasts that bullets couldn't harm. Anthropologists warn against taking the stories literally, saying skinwalkers reflect Navajo fears of witchcraft and betrayal. And for those living in the deserts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, the warning is simple. If you see glowing eyes in the dark, don't follow. At number 5, we have the Mothman, a winged figure that turned a small American town into the center of one of the strangest mysteries of the 20th century. The story begins in 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. 2 young couples driving near an old TNT factory spotted something in the dark, a tall humanoid figure with glowing red eyes and massive wings. They panicked, sped off, and later swore it followed their car, flying at over 100 miles per hour. Within days, more locals came forward with similar encounters. Some claimed to see it perched on rooftops. Others described it swooping silently across roads at night. For 13 months, Point Pleasant was consumed by sightings. The creature became known as the Mothman. And then came a tragedy. On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed during rush hour, killing 46 people. After that, the sightings suddenly stopped. Many came to believe the Mothman wasn't just a monster, but an omen, a warning of disaster. Researchers and skeptics have suggested explanations like it could be an owl with reflective eyes, large herons mistaken in the dark, or mass hysteria fueled by fear. Yet for the people of Point Pleasant, the connection is too chilling to ignore. On a Reddit thread, a woman claimed that her husband's aunt saw the Mothman while sitting out in her hot tub one night. Even today, the town honors the legend with a statue and an annual festival, proof that the Mothman still casts its shadow. But with no photographs beyond blurry shapes, many argue the Mothman lives less in the skies and more in the fears and folklore of Point Pleasant. Number 4. Jersey Devil. Imagine the terrifying mix of a gargoyle and a dragon from a dark fantasy film, with horns, wings, claws, and a scream that chills the night. That's how people of New Jersey have described this creature for centuries. For centuries, people have believed the number 13 carries a curse. 13 steps, 13 guests at a table, or the 13th child, each linked with bad luck and tragedy. And it's here, in New Jersey, that this superstition took on flesh and wings. The legend begins in 1735 with a woman known as Mother Leeds. Already the mother of 12 children, she cursed her 13th, crying out that it would be the devil himself. Since then, thousands of reports have come from the Pine Barrens. Farmers claimed it killed livestock. Hunters found strange tracks in the sand. In the early 1900s, a week of mass sightings sent towns into panic. Schools closed, workers stayed home, and newspapers called it the Devil of Leeds. Police even tried shooting at a strange flying figure, but nothing seemed to stop it. Modern skeptics to this date suggest misidentified animals, owls, cranes, or even runaway circus creatures. But for locals, the Jersey Devil is more than just folklore. Its cries are still reported in the forests, and its image has become a part of New Jersey culture, even inspiring the name of the state's NHL hockey team. At number 3, we have Thunderbird, a creature so massive its wings were said to create thunder with every flap and lightning with every blink of its eyes. For generations, Native American tribes told stories of this mighty bird. To the Lakota, it was a protector spirit, striking down evil beings with bolts of lightning. To others, it was a warning, a reminder of nature's unstoppable power. Its wingspan, some legends claim, stretched over 20 feet, large enough to blot out the sun as it passed overhead. But the Thunderbird isn't only legend. In the late 1800s, newspapers from Arizona told of cowboys shooting down a giant bird-like creature with wings as long as a man. The story described its body as looking more like a reptile than a bird, fueling theories of surviving pterosaurs from prehistoric times. Even into the 20th century, people in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest reported seeing enormous birds gliding silently above the forests, far larger than any eagle known to science. People still claim they have either seen a large, almost unbelievable bird flying in the sky, or they claim to have heard stories. So, was it only an eagle seen from the wrong angle? Or could giant wings still cast shadows over the plains? Because no fossil record or physical trace has ever supported the idea of living pterosaurs, leaving most experts convinced these sightings were of oversized eagles or cranes. At number 2 sits the jackalope, less a monster of the wild and more a prank of the human mind. At first glance, it seems like the most innocent creature imaginable. Just a rabbit, small and timid. But give it antelope horns, and you have one of the strangest legends to come out of the American West. Cowboys on the open range were the first to tell stories of these horned hares. Around the campfire, they claimed the jackalope could mimic human voices, calling out to travelers in the dark with cries like, "Help me," or "Over here." Only when someone followed the sound did they realize it was a trick, and by then, the jackalope was gone. The first stories appeared in the 1930s when 2 hunters from Douglas, Wyoming, Douglas Herrick and his brother, mounted deer antlers onto a rabbit carcass as a taxidermy joke. Locals loved it, and soon the jackalope became a regional legend. Shops sold postcards, hunters bragged about chasing it, and by the 1940s, it was a full-blown tourist attraction. Today, Douglas, Wyoming proudly calls itself the jackalope capital of the world, and even issues jackalope hunting licenses, valid only on June 31st, a date that doesn't exist. But people still love these cute little deer bunnies, but the idea of horned rabbits wasn't entirely invented. In the 1800s, naturalists in Europe had described rabbits infected with the shop papilloma virus. The disease caused hard growths around their heads and faces. They weren't horns, but weird bumps around the head, though. Some believe this rare condition may have inspired sightings of horned hares in the wild, later fueling the cowboy tales. So, while no real jackalope has ever been captured, the mix of biology, folklore, and cowboy humor made it one of the most enduring creatures in American tall tales. Number 1. Pukwudgie. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you might recognize the name Pukwudgie. In J.K. Rowling's expanded wizarding world, one of the 4 houses at Ilvermorny, the American School of Magic, is named after this creature. But the real Pukwudgie, which comes from Native American legend, is far darker than any school mascot. In Wampanoag folklore, the Pukwudgie is a small troll-like being only 2 to 3 feet tall, with gray skin, sharp features, and glowing red eyes. They were once said to live peacefully alongside humans, but after a falling out, the Pukwudgies turned hostile, becoming tricksters who led people into danger and death. Their powers made them even more terrifying. Legends say they could turn invisible, shapeshift into animals, or shoot poisoned arrows. Some stories describe them, pushing people off cliffs or luring travelers into swamps with ghostly voices, and even today, reports persist. In Massachusetts' Freetown State Forest, part of the so-called Bridgewater Triangle, locals still claim to see strange lights, feel watched in the trees, or glimpse small shadowy figures moving at the edge of sight. Many link these encounters to the Pukwudgie legend. The name itself comes from the Algonquian language, meaning little wild man of the woods. Colonial records from the 1600s already mention them. Proof that this is no recent invention, but a story that has haunted New England for centuries. Are they just stories meant to keep children close to home? Or echoes of something older and stranger that once shared the forests with us? Whatever it was, the Pukwudgie's mischief remains unsolved. Our countdown of North America's legends ends here. But if you think this was strange, wait until you see our parts on Japan, South America, and the UK.